Welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Unrecorded locations, places of interest, even applying it to footage, claims of it, but publicly never been shown, never been released. To some people, if it's not seen, it doesn't exist. I'm combining all that today with areas what we've heard about in regard to the case and location, from the party house to where Noah's body was to be found at, from certain events in between and what supposedly happened at each place. I'm using my memory and thoughts and knowledge in general, applying it as a map analysis, and today I'm sharing it with you. It kind of incorporates some of the blind spots like the previous map project that I did. However, this one is more refined, additional markers have been added and other spots highlighted. Now, some of it can be distant as well. And just as a heads up, people could say, does that matter? Is it really important? Well, look at external factors and internal factors which link together because they tell a story as it's a part of Noah. For example, the writing on his chest, torso area, which we saw later. The writing and marks on his back and bottom area when it came to Saturday, trying to work out when it was removed or when it became faded. Ultimately, it would be working out events, locations, and what Noah was doing at different points in order for the writing and pen markers to fade away. Yes, a person could be having a wash, but in what conditions, what environment, what location? It could incorporate when Noah went back home or when he went elsewhere in between. That is why there is the extension and the importance in these areas which I've marked out. I'll give a few more little disclaimers in a second or so, but I just want to say first and foremost, welcome to those that are watching right now and on catch up later. If you're currently watching the live premiere, feel free to make use of the live chat box located on the right side of the screen. Let me know your thoughts and questions and theories and overall reactions. If you do want to expand, elaborate on anything, you're welcome to leave a comment down below under the video. That'll help with spreading awareness and starting new discussions. If you are interested and want to support my channel, in the comment section there is a pinned message with a PayPal link if you want to support the channel and what I do. If you simply want to catch up on recent coverage and additional videos and archives within the Noah Presgrove case, all in one place is the playlist available where the I symbol is. Top right corner of the screen up there, if you click on it, you get the drop down menu box with the playlist, all videos attached, and the odd loose one too from recent time. Okay? With that all being said, and with everything that's gone on within the case and community recently, it's been quite heavy. A lot of information, text and words, and some may have got headaches. Don't worry, Donna Bond, my head is perfectly fine at this moment in time. So let's look at something a little bit more visual, a little bit more colourful in a way, returning back to the important events and claims to do with the party house, the property, the highway, and much more. These markers and points are based on what I can remember and what I think is necessary. You know, whilst Noah's death may have been found at the highway, whether it all occurred there or there's some link back to the party house, it's everything else in between and earlier on that led to a certain point. It's about working out what the atmosphere was like, the mood, and sometimes that can be found through looking at footage and photos and media. And you could say, why does that matter? If it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, we won't know. But that's the thing, it's that uncertainty of, at least on the public level, the surface layer, what we're aware of, there is no recorded footage, there are no videos, there are no photos, there is no social media post in regard to some areas of interest, at least what we know of. Whether this video sparks and triggers answers, as in, actually, there is evidence and there is proof, if that can spark a new lead, more answers, more material and evidence being released with time, then that's a positive. And if not possible, if it doesn't exist, then it just kind of hammers down the questions of why doesn't it exist? I understand when it comes to a party, an event, really anything in life, you probably in the moment not going to be documenting everything like it's some kind of forensic crime scene. You're not going to be time stamping absolutely everything and monitoring the time and when people come and go and what people are up to, like it's some kind of logbook. You're probably not going to be doing that. But would you if you knew what was to come next? Maybe. But majority of the time in life, you aren't expected to know or able to control all the factors around you and what happens next. So it does come down to natural, normal human behaviour when at a party, for example, and primarily the goal is hanging out with familiar faces, connecting with people, having fun. You wouldn't be expecting darkness to take over that shortly after. But that's what supposedly did with the news of Noah's death. So other questions you could ask yourself. Whilst people are partying and others are reclining and getting ready to sleep or rest, Noah is at unrest at the time of when walking away, supposedly. What was Noah doing and what was it like for him? Who did he encounter? What did he encounter to end up the way he did and the location where he was at? I believe the autopsy report made a reference to vehicle related also, and a tick as in Noah being a pedestrian. Well, if you see a person and no vehicle about, it comes across as a pedestrian. Some people could apply that and link it to a possible cause of death, or use an alternative theory to say, well, police or authorities have chosen easy way out to push a certain narrative because of corruption. Certain claims by other people. Okay? What we're looking at today is the bigger picture from early to later and a little bit onwards. The death is important, the cause, the time, the location is all important, but all the little events leading up to it are just as important. Everything is really important as it plays a role and a timeline in the case for Noah and as well other people. And whilst we've done analysis and we've looked at timestamps or phone pings as best as possible with the limited material that we have, whilst yes, we can say phone pings and timestamps are very limited on the public surface level, we've been told, and there's a little bit of reassurance to say when it comes to the Life 360, when it comes to other tracking and geofence and GeoNet, how it's being gathered from the phones and stuff, it will be there and it might set the record straight, but it's just not being released to the public because it can't be at this moment in time. That's understandable, but if there is a level of reassurance that this and that does exist, that's something. But what we're looking at today, not only is it limited on the public surface level, not only some of it may not exist whatsoever, but also we've not really received enough reassurance that this exists and that does too. That's why this video is needed more than ever. So without further ado, let's get into this map analysis. One piece of good news is, based on the user interface, I've been able to change it so we haven't got that big black box in the way, making it easier for me to show you stuff on screen. Some of what you see may appear a little bit familiar to a recent project that I did, but it does have multifunctional appliance, not just with Noah's point of view, not just with Jasmine Milans, as we discovered just recently. The way her selfie was front-facing camera appeared as if she was looking more southwest, that way. But upon analysing further, it appeared that when flipping the image around the correct way, so the top wasn't mirrored and the writing wasn't back to front on the top, it actually made it look like she was looking more southeast, the way Noah was heading. That's the point of view that we looked at recently, the peripheral vision, and from Noah's point of view. But that's just one event, isn't it? What we're looking at today is more than one. So, In no particular order, we'll just start with ground zero, the party house, the property itself. And we do cover other areas. I put that there as well. Context will be given. So when it comes to Friday, we still have no clue what happened Friday, who was present, because it was described as it was a 4-day party. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So technically it started on the Friday, but Noah wasn't there. Caden in one interview said he was there, then in the other said he wasn't or didn't want to talk about it. So it's a bit of a standstill, which makes it a little bit suspicious. Even before Noah Presgrove's death, there was already suspiciousness in regard to not being able to open up or talk clearly about what happened on the Friday, way before the build-up to Noah. Very weird. So Saturday onwards is what we're really looking at. But from what Caden said, Saturday was pretty much normal and fine. But what you could argue and say, in general, the house itself plays a role. There's supposed arguments going on here and there, from Saturday night going into Sunday morning, Noah yelling with Jack, whether it be one-sided or 50-50. And then there was those other claims of, even if it turned out to be misinformation, but claims at one point of another guy, something Camarillo or so, one of Justin's nephews. The claims were, and that's all it was, to my knowledge, of Camarillo having a go at someone because his car being scratched. And then Noah and Jack, who were arguing with one another, had to break up their fight and pull apart the two other guys. A lot of conflict going on in a short space of time, Saturday night going into early Sunday morning past midnight. Events like that, quite crucial. It shows who's against one another, how tense it really is, the atmosphere. Is it physical? Is it verbal? Are there any threats? Does it look bad? Was it foreshadowing anything? But unfortunately, there is no footage, to our knowledge, no recorded footage of it. So it's okay saying that the party appeared all happy, fine and positive, and for most part of it, yes, it does, and Noah looked happy. But what about the dark moments? What about the rough, rugged parts? Like with a human, no one's perfect, but you might only see the perfect side of someone. Why not see the real side of an individual? It makes it more realistic, makes it a bit more approachable and understandable. So the party which Noah was at, where there was the odd argument and fight, which Justin described as Saturday night going onwards, as in aggressive pushing and shoving, and Caden having to break the fight up. From what Justin said, Caden never acknowledged to breaking it up. Let's just make that clear. But still, was it recorded? Yes or no? Have we seen footage? No. But it's been claimed those are the events that happened. Let's look at Sunday as well, to do with the house itself. From what Caden said, Sunday night, Noah Presgrove, Mikey Lair, wrestling. Where exactly? Inside the house or outside? On the patio, where the ground is hard and not soft? Was it the pasture area, highlighted in red, where it's grassy, or could have been at the time? But that could have been hard as well because of the dryness of the ground. Where did this wrestling take place? Maybe it was harmless. Maybe not much came from it, but just more material to work with in understanding and picking up on details, because you never know what you might pick up on compared to what other people failed to see. This wrestling match, whether it led on to anything else, whether it foreshadowed anything, just different points of views, more footage of Mikey because it's quite limited to begin with. What footage do we have of Mikey? Well, before those never seen before snaps, it was only the Brylan Sweat point of view, front patio area, where he was panning the camera around, said one-on-one with Mike Tyson. That was it. That's all we ever saw until a bit later when you had the Snapchats released, and I was the first one to share it public and on YouTube. So yeah, we've opened up a little bit more there, but it's taken time. What else happened? And then, of course, just add Mikey supposedly underneath the barrel, but understandably, not everybody agrees with it or believes fully because they didn't actually see Mikey. It's just been said he was under the barrel. there wouldn't really need to be a reason to lie about it, because it's clear that there is someone underneath it, because the barrel doesn't touch the ground and Pepe Graham's holding onto it, pushing it down, so whoever's underneath can't get out, whilst laughing and joking. Harmless event, but provides a different point of view and a different time. One of the latest, last known recorded pieces of evidence leading up to Noah's death, 2:32. We've not publicly seen anything past that point up to Noah's death. We've seen material after, supposedly, basing it on an estimated time of death. Maybe not everyone will agree with that, but like 4:30 onwards, 5:27 onwards. We've seen clips of that, but before, as in 3:30 when Noah walked away from the house, 3:30 to, what time would we give? 4 in the morning onwards, 5:46, 5:53 when Noah was reported on the highway. There's still a chunk, and that chunk of time could apply to these locations, what we're looking at today, obviously partially highlighted. But we've already mentioned about the house itself, beside the surrounding landscape and area and other buildings nearby, just the house itself. Enough cameras, surveillance just weren't working. Doorbell camera wasn't working. Wasted, failed opportunities, could have been a completely different outcome. Whether it reinforces murder or an accident, it could have been a completely different outcome, as in progression made, knowing who was coming and who was going at certain times, fully verified as well, if the cameras were successful. And of course, if there was any on the highway, which there wasn't. So you just work with the cameras that were present, that could have worked if they had. I mean, might have been the odd little contradiction here and there, what we've heard previously, like with Texas Boys leaving and after Noah, that comment by Stevie Howard, which is untraceable now, which is very unfortunate. But beside that, what about other circumstances? Supposedly Sunday, Mikey Lair fish hooking Noah and Noah biting Mikey's finger because Mikey couldn't find his phone and assumed that Noah was responsible. Turned out Caden accidentally covered the phone up when resting. An event like that, maybe somewhat harmless, but it provided a slightly different perspective, right? Beside all the happy, jolly partying, being able to see a little bit of roughness, a little bit of ruggedness, a bit more raw, a bit more primal behaviour, whether it be from one gender or a mixture. If there's any pettiness, if there's any bitchiness, if there's any arguing, because even good times and even around familiar faces, there can be the odd disagreement or falling out. It's just inevitable. It's what makes things normal, natural and healthy in life, from friendships to relationships. It's never going to be perfect, because if it was, it would be boring and it just wouldn't be healthy. Got to give and take, bit of tug and pull. And with this party having alcohol as well, the ages that they were, inevitable for it to be a recipe for disaster under certain circumstances, and depending on how people would naturally react to the alcohol anyway, you got to consider it all. So these arguments and falling outs could have been driven by alcohol in the first place, but it would have been nice to see the footage, the material of it, just to give a different perspective beside all the positivity, balance it out. And people could argue and say, was it edited in such a way that all the clips and the parts of Noah was all positive, yet look at how he ended up. How could he end up that way based on how the early events at the party were going and how he was interacting with people? It doesn't make sense. It feels like there's a massive distance between the two outcomes before and after. So I'd ask you, if we got to see the full footage, if people actually recorded, because we don't ultimately know, if people actually recorded any of the arguments or fights because they thought it was drama, it was pure cinema, it was cinematic, it was funny at the time, where is it now? Because if there is extensive material not released, but it's before Noah's death, it implies it does play a major role of importance, because why else would it need to be, held back exactly? Held back for the sake of the case. If it's held back for the sake of the case, yet the case may be deemed in some eyes as just a simple accident, nothing to see here, then why would a previous argument and people associated with it have anything to do with Noah's death then? So you could make that argument. Different ways of looking at it. But the house itself, right? The dark moments, the disagreements, the falling out. How come there's no footage, photos or snaps of any of that? At least to our knowledge. If it does exist, If anyone does have it, is it possible to release? Is there a thumbs up by police? Is it possible? Because if so, feel free to reach out to me and then we can go from there. You go on my main channel page. All my social media links are available and profiles. Feel free to follow through with them if you do have material and if you are able to share it. It's the only way we can really get that awareness out. To reinforce darkness, to reinforce a natural situation, to debunk whatever it is, it goes a long way. Even the mention of Noah walking away from the house itself, coming down here and then going down the dirt road east, down that way. Mentions of that. I'm trying to think. It was either Justin or Caden, and I might be leaning more towards Justin, that referred to when Noah was walking away afterwards at some point, no time given. It was Carter and Avery, two sisters, arguing with one another, front porchway, underneath the roof, the overhanging one. And whilst they were arguing with each other, a person supposedly recorded it when they were outside. So it wasn't the doorbell camera. But other people since had mentioned it probably was the doorbell camera. And then some have countered it and said the doorbell camera wasn't working. So referring back to, I think, Justin's original point or claim of, there was another individual recording the footage of Avery and Carter arguing, then likely for that point of view, the other individual would have to be outside of the house, on site of the property. But where were they standing exactly? Were they hiding behind this tree here, pointing the camera over that way? Were they near the barn shed area here, around the corner, lurking, overhearing the argument? Were they round the back of the house, the pasture area, and heard the commotion on the front, went round to see, and around the corner of the house, peeked around and recorded it? But why would anyone do that exactly? What use or purpose does that serve? You know, like when it comes to recording stuff as a means of gaining a receipt so you can use it in the future if you got to back yourself up, defend yourself, use it as an alibi, use it as a counterpoint, use it as incriminating evidence. It sounds like there is a build-up. You see a level of darkness, you act on it in the moment because what? You sense, you know, you feel that it could be of use later. Who knows? But do we have evidence? Do we have hard evidence of that clip of Avery and Carter arguing with one another? No. At least it's not being released public. But to my thoughts, and it could apply to other people, because it's not been made visible, in some ways it may not exist. I'm not dismissing it completely. Just know that. I'm not completely denying it. But like trying to whittle it down to organise it. What's real, what physically exists? What's claimed in words but not action? When we talk about hard evidence, we don't just mean physical photos and videos, but we mean the ability to visualise it and see it firsthand to get a better idea of the situation, right? I mean, even events like with when Brealey's two sisters showed up and those claims of, well, Noah wanted one of Brealey's sisters to stay or something, spend some time together. If that was true, why would Noah want that exactly when Noah already has a girlfriend? Unless it was just friendly. Nevertheless, that little event there, was it recorded? Was it documented exactly? From the looks of it, no. Would there be a need to? But that's the thing. You could ask yourself, you could question and say, it's a minor event. It's got nothing to do with Noah's death. Why would anyone record it? Why would anyone take a photo? It's such a meaningless thing. Yeah, you're right. But guess what else is meaningless? Caden taking a photo of Georgia throwing up. What's the point of that? If you tell your mom that their niece, I think that's how you word it, their niece, is throwing up and ill, underage drinking, your mom should believe in what you say. You shouldn't have to show a photo just to prove and back it up, right? Words, when you're close to someone, should be enough to carry weight and value instead of always action, right? So if a meaningless or an unnecessary act of taking a photo of someone throwing up, if that can be done, if that can occur, then I'm sure the same could occur to other events at the party which were either petty, meaningless, and of not much value. But surely to someone it was of value. Could it have been recorded? And if not, is there a particular reason for that? You know, like there'll be like other clips, other little moments. I mean, the exception would be Caden inside the house recording, panning the camera around. Caden said he did that to show to Alicia that Georgia was present and she was safe and okay. To confirm, hey, Mom, as in the words of Caden, you don't need to come round. You don't need to contact Melissa. It'll be fine. It's okay. That's the reason why things were delayed and action wasn't taken. But the moment when Caden reported on to his mum Alicia about Georgia taking a turn for the worst is when the red flag alarm bells started ringing. More focused on that. But beside that, what other events do we have? Well, we're focusing on Sunday whilst we're here. I'm going to use this part of the field. This part of the field here, as you can see. Because I feel that the fields up this way are divided by a fence line. You see where it's grey. That grey line I have applied myself because it appears to show a black fence line underneath it. Can you see? So if there's a fence line, it's going to be divided, segregated into smaller square patches and so on. Meaning there wouldn't be as much room to roam about in a vehicle and animals to roam about as freely. However, the south field back that way, south facing towards Terrell, is so much more open and vast. Yeah, there is still a fence line in parallel to the dirt road, but once getting onto that field grass area, look at the distance, the width and the depth to it. More than enough space to roam around on a vehicle, even if it's not advised, driving about. And this is in regard to Sunday, afternoon, evening time, where it was Caden Pressey, Jack Newton, Noah Presgrove, Isaac Rojas, Brylan Sweat. Mikey didn't join in, I don't think. Brylan had a hunting rifle, Isaac had a 12-gauge shotgun, and Jack had his AR rifle, I guess with a thermal scope. Quite the equipment to be using when casually shooting animals. Now, in terms of it being a clean kill, who knows? That's the dark side there. Just randomly, recklessly doing it as well, and possibly being drunk, sounds really reckless and really dangerous, because just imagine if there was a misfire. Imagine if someone accidentally shot another person. Didn't happen, but could have. Because it didn't happen that time round, it could happen in the future. Just like if there was an accident at one point, no one died, but the next time, if actions are repeated, you could get a similar outcome, if not worse. Got to be cautious of all these different considerations. If we just focus in, though, on the event of shooting of the animals and driving about in the field, and that's Sunday, was it recorded or documented? An event like that for them could be considered high adrenaline, high octane, fun, reckless, messing about, laughing and joking, even if it's dark with what they're doing and how they may be ending the animals. But, you know, group of guys, friends together, you'd think that maybe one of them or a few would be recording it when driving about, or the act of the shooting part, because it's guys with guns and it seems all cool and fun and amazing and wild. Why not record it in the moment as a memory to reflect back on later? A chaotic moment, crazy time. Let's record it. People aren't going to believe this. When we get back, we can share it with them. Why did no one record it? Or did they? At least publicly, we've not seen it. This whole area and field, we've not seen anyone in the field or the area walking about or driving around. Yes, there's been those claims of activity taking place. From Caden Press's account, how he worded it sounded like either the dirt road or the highway they were driving up and down. But from what Jack Newton said, it was actually the field. So we've got conflicting stories there. And from what Caden Pressey said, they were in the side-by-side, or a side-by-side. could well be the one, I believe, which Noah Presgrave was using later on from Caden's wording. Yet Jack Newton said it was his Ford Ranger, the pickup truck that was used to carry the trailer of the side-by-side to the party house in the first place. So either it's the side-by-side used for hunting, or it was a Ford Ranger pickup. A side-by-side would make more sense when going in a field, in my opinion. Ford Ranger would be a lot bigger, bulkier, and maybe turning up the ground more, and the weight distribution. Nevertheless, despite those discrepancies, and the location discrepancies, one thing for certain, publicly speaking, we've not seen any hard evidence of that particular event. But it seems consistent that it did happen, just it wasn't recorded. And come on, right? What do you think people would record more? The act of recording someone or some people writing on Noah's behind, or recording one another driving about in a vehicle with firearms, looking all cool, wild and chaotic? Which one would you expect more, as in it being documented and recorded? Because in the end, what we ended up seeing was what happened at the party and not the wild stuff that happened further on. Just like with the fights, the arguments, the chaos, the noise, the storm, why wasn't it captured? Why was it not recorded? Okay, people could say, well, we weren't to know what was to happen to Noah later. Noah may have been involved in these events, but he wasn't harmed, so there's no reason to link it to it. Yeah, but, the other clips, what we've seen, which hold a level of importance in their own ways, like Noah being written on, it's not game-breaking. It doesn't link 100% to Noah's death completely, or explain death by pen marker, or ink poisoning, but it still plays a timeline role and an understanding of the power dynamics between Noah, the friendship group, and what he was on the receiving end of, and more, right? This activity of driving about feels like more of a shared, involved activity, but still reckless in a way, and footage which could have been used in the future, maybe with that whole wrongful death lawsuit petition or the social hosting. Did people consider not recording it because they thought, well, if we do, we'll get in trouble with the police? Don't be recording it and don't be posting it online because it could be used against us in the future. Not because of Noah's death directly at the time, but if the police found out. But did it stop them any other time in the past with previous parties? If they were drinking back then, they're drinking now. If they may have recorded clips in the past at other parties, what's stopping them from this particular one? There's a lot of what-ifs and uncertainties, but still, it needs to be acknowledged and covered, don't you think? This area, the location, the field area, it feels like there's a handful of stuff going on. But how much of it was documented? The field, not documented whatsoever, based on what I've seen. One way of looking at it that would apply as a form of help is with learning about the field and the perspective from when they were driving on it. It could show Noah Caden getting in and out of the vehicle and possibly explaining, or at least visually showing, the possibilities of why and how grass ended up inside of those shoelaces, from Caden's Hey Dude shoe to Noah Presgrave's and the mismatched shoe which Noah had on when at the highway, when found there. Because the suggestions of grass in the shoelace kind of linked in with Noah's death being dragged along, being carried somewhere post-death, during the death, when the grass got in. But maybe it's as simple as linking back to when Noah was alive and when it followed on the Sunday events with driving in the field. The footage could apply that evidence and prove the point, or at least suggest it more visually. That's why a separate event earlier on can hold weight in the case for explaining why certain evidence ended up the way it did where Noah was found on the highway, the condition and the state of that material or possessions. It would have visually helped us, and yet we don't have it. That's why it's a problem. Now, beside that, Caden's wording was, on the way back, they jumped to Culvert. On the way back to the party house when it was getting later into the evening. Well, if you're in the field, you're not that far from the house. You'd have to get back onto the dirt road somewhere and simply drive down and get to the house. I'm not aware where the actual culvert is, the jump, the pipe, the sewage, the drainage bit. I don't know if that considers any of it, because there's only 1 or 2 culverts which I'm aware of, which is much further down the highway past the point of Noah's body, and then the closest one being at the end of the dirt road going onto the highway here, if you're familiar with it, this one. I'll just show it visually quickly. The reason why this is important, and we'll use this as an example and only. Whilst yes, you got the field there, look at all that space to roam about in a vehicle, that footage that could have been recorded which we never got to see. Now, you could argue and say, would you have been able to see much if it was that dark? Well, they said like going into the evening, so it might have still been somewhat light. You got the headlights of the vehicle too. It would have been limited, maybe the visibility to an extent. But the culvert, an example here. See the drainage, the concrete, the piping goes underground, underneath the highway road, and comes out the other end, just near that yellow post thing there. You can see the concrete. It's just for drainage. But Caden said that Jack, I believe, had the right idea, thinking it was good to jump it. And for example, if this was the case, coming down the highway, which would be unusual because you were over there on the field, you'd have to leave the field to leave the property, to get onto the highway, to turn around, to be on a certain side, to then jump it and then return back. It's a bit all over the place. Unless there is a culvert on site the property, that would make more sense, but I've yet to see it. And you know what? We would have answers in regard to the location if that was recorded as well. And at least publicly, we've not seen it. Was it planned on the spot? Was there a build-up to it? Would there have been enough time for someone to pull their phone out and record it? Because surely you would think a group of guys, and maybe they're a bit drunk, if one or a few had the idea that it would be good to jump a culvert like a stunt jump, visually it would look good. How it would feel in the moment, maybe an adrenaline rush, just funny. Whether it works or if it fails, was that recorded? Look at it with Noah. The side-by-side rollover. The actual event wasn't recorded because it probably wasn't anticipated what was going to happen, right? But the after effects were more known and were recorded from what we've been told, from what Caden has seen himself and some other people witnessed in the moment, right? So the after effects of an event was recorded. So why weren't the after effects of jumping the culvert? Why wasn't that recorded? The after effects of shooting and going on a massacre of shooting animals. Why wasn't that recorded? It seems to be picking and choosing what's recorded and what's not. But to me, it's all important in different ways. The culvert could explain the condition of the side-by-side, because I suggested as a theory, if they did jump it and were somewhat successful, was there any internal or secret damage or anything loosened underneath, which then led directly or partially played a role, as in when Noah used that side-by-side, if that's what they did use for the hunting part and the jumping of the culvert from Caden's account, it would mean the vehicle is a little bit more structurally weaker, vulnerable, leading to Noah driving it, not knowing how unsafe it is, weight distribution and passengers, if it's unbalanced as well, one thing could lead to another, and that could possibly play the major role or part of a role as it in rolling over. Does it all link back to Noah's death? Not quite, but it plays a role within it, because if the side-by-side incident never happened, then likely Noah may have not needed to be escorted to the shower under the same circumstances. And maybe certain atmospheres or certain actions may have not occurred past that point if Noah was in a different frame of mind, a different mood, wasn't shaken up or wasn't disorientated, if other passengers weren't slightly injured as well. It could have played out a little bit more differently. So when you make one adjustment earlier, it has a chain reaction, knock-on domino effect with everything happens later. That's why it's important. If some events can be recorded even when it's too late, then why wasn't this? If it was agreed upon in the moment, but there was enough time to pull the phone out to jump a culvert like this, why did no one record it? Why didn't Caden Pressey think, right, let's record jumping a culvert. This is going to look really cool. This is going to look really cinematic. Why did no one jump out the vehicle, line themselves up, pull the phone out and say, right, go on then, Jack, drive over it? If it was all in the moment and there was no time to record it, fair enough. But still, it's to them, a cool, exciting, wild event, which they could have shared to the other friends and partygoers when they got back to the house to announce the news of what they've done, what they've been up to. If people are all about social media and posting like some of them were, then why didn't they with this? Well, Caden Pressey, he's not the type, he wouldn't really be recording, uploading. Well, quite a lot of footage what we've seen has been from Caden's point of view, from outside when Noah got slapped at 1:05 in the morning, to earlier, 10:50 p.m. Sunday night when Caden was panning around in the room, to when Caden Pressey took a photo of Georgia throwing up outside at, what time was it? Was it 12:48 in the morning, 00:48 in the morning of Monday? Caden did that. Caden was quite active with his phone in some ways. Interesting, isn't it? We could have learned a lot more if that event was recorded. For example, if it occurred here or wherever the culvert is. We could have learned more and seen it from different angles and perspectives involving Noah and the company that he had with him at the time. Okay? And speaking of the side-by-side accident, we might as well focus in around the back area here. Whilst updated imagery doesn't show it, if you go back to Bing Maps of 2022 or you go on Google Earth Pro, back then, satellite imagery, it shows a trampoline round the back. Early on in this case, June the 1st, 2024 onwards, really earlier on when I was first covering the case, a year or two ago now. When I was first covering, you could still see the trampoline in the background, and I think that was it. Before that, you go back in time, you see the trampoline round the back, the circle. You see the swimming pool and the decking where you can sit on it and nearby. And that's all round the back of the pasture. And it was said, whether it was in use or not, the decking and the swimming pool and the trampoline were round the back of the house. That takes up a bit of space, right? And we're taking up that space for Jack to say the side-by-side occurred round the back of the house, considering that, yes, you do have a field backing on there, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's a bit of a fence line. You see that black line and shadowing? That shape that goes up to the dirt road in parallel, there is a fence line there all the way down and all the way up there west. So following that black line, anticipating that it continues onwards faintly, and if it did continue, like a perimeter, right, following it, no guarantee, just based on interpretation, you'd be cut off. You wouldn't have much space round the back properly to do what you want. With the decking and the trampoline, if you were driving round, did it all occur round the back of the house? Or is it discrepancies? With Noah Presgrove, where was the side-by-side when Noah first got in it with the passengers? Was it on the front? Was it stored away in the barn, the shed area here? Because the doors were open at one point, Saturday or Sunday night. The doors were open, but then later they were closed. So it was definitely used for something, the shed. And based on the limited vehicles that we saw parked up near to the house, there, like where the white vehicle is, up against to the patio area, maybe some vehicles or trailers were stored in the shed and were taken out only when needed. So when Noah got the keys somehow, sneaking into Carter's bedroom where Jack was asleep, taking the keys, going to get to side-by-side, was it already out? Was it locked away? Was it round the back of the house? Because for Noah, okay, he may have been drunk. He may have not been thinking. His reaction time may have been slow. But you think, driving about, what was the intent? Where were they going to drive exactly? Was it just around the property, around the house? Was it the field area again, back down here? Was it to jump a culvert? How long did they intend originally to drive about for with the passengers? Was there any intent to go on the highway, but didn't even get to that point? How long did Noah spend in the vehicle until the rollover occurred exactly? Short space of time? 5-10 minutes? And when the rollover occurred, did it occur where the vehicle was found in the first place for Noah to access it or not? Because depending on how familiar you are with the area and the property, if you know round the back there is a swimming pool, there is a decking, there is a trampoline and a fence line, there is limited room to be driving round the back based on that interpretation only. So did Noah swerve because he realised he was going to crash into the pool? Or he was going to crash into the decking? And by swerving, doing one turn then another, and the weight distribution, the momentum shift led to the vehicle rolling over. Maybe. Now, was that all recorded? No, not from the looks of it. But there's been those claims and mentions that the after effects were recorded from what Caden Pressey described in the police interview. I think it was. Or Partners in True Crime, whichever one. And Caden said that he was showed a photo from a video, and how he described it appeared to be of a video that he must have seen to describe it as clear as he did. As in, a person recorded the after effects. Caden was asleep at the time in the house, unaware, but saw the footage afterwards, as in like feedback, a replay of it, processing it. So there was a person who recorded it, the after effects. Noah was described as laughing, and so were the other people joking. The guy recording it, or the person recorded it, walked up to Noah, who was kind of on the floor and had either a bloodied nose or a busted lip. Nothing that major, but Noah was laughing and joking and seemed there with it, yet he needed assistance to the bathroom, so maybe mentally he was somewhat there, physically he was a bit disorientated or vulnerable under the circumstances, and more so the alcohol. Right, okay. So that's footage that supposedly was recorded and exist. There's other counterpoints, I think by Brooke Bounds Carter and some, that say during that event of the rollover, when rolling it back on its wheels, Caden Pressey was seen on camera assisting. Yeah, at that time he was supposed to be asleep. Now Caden says, I would like to see that as proof if you have it. Was it ever shared public? No. Did Caden ever see it from the looks of it? No. Does that mean it was a lie? Who knows? What's the point of that though? To make Caden look bad? If it's done and faked to make Caden look bad, that's just desperate. If it's genuine and real, whether it makes someone look good or bad, it needs to be shown. But why can't it be shared public? Why can't the rollover, the video clip, not be shared public? Is it because it's sensitive? Is it because it's a part of the case? Because if it's a part of the case, I'm only explaining it from one side because I don't know of the other things. But my reaction to it would be, if the rollover was a separate event and Noah was okay post that event, but it's reserved for the case and Noah's death, it makes it seem like one thing links to another, as part of a timeline in general, as in people of interest within. And ever since it's remained that way, so it's not being cleared or debunked, so it seems to have a level of importance, and due to the side-by-side accident, having twists, turns, confusion, contradictions, and lack of clarity, lack of answers to simple questions, it just makes it so much more deeper than what it probably is. But with that depth, it adds more mystery, and with more mystery, it adds intrigue and suspicion. What would we have learned from that side-by-side accident, even if it was post-event? We would have finally seen a different point of view around the back of the house, which we've never seen. The only footage that we have around the back of the house is a passerby in 2025 going down the highway towards Terrell, which I shared with you in recent time. And that was present time back in 2025 when I did the video, and it was light. So you got a visual element of the area, the back door, the back porch, well, overhanging patio. There's a patio on the front. There appears to be a patio on the back. So I know some people could argue and say, are there any clips where it was on the back, but because it was facing back of the house and the windows and the layout, it just looked similar to the front? So it may have got confused and thought it was all at the front when some of it was recorded at the back. Understandable. But to my knowledge, based on the angles, it was all from the front. I've not seen any footage around the back. I want to know your thoughts. Have you seen any footage, photos, selfies, clips, snaps of the back area post-rollover? Right? We'd get a better understanding on what it was like ground level, what it looked the surrounding area, what the back of the house looked like, whether the swimming pool was in use or not, whether the lights were on, if there were any lights, if it had running or if it had flowing water, if there was any bleach nearby, anyone sat on the decking area, just things like that, just to get a better on-ground visual sense. As well, With Noah being present and recovering from the rollover, if we saw the clip ourselves, if it does exist, we'd be able to understand the condition of Noah. I would have been able to do the body language analysis physically and possibly psychologically to try and work out, was Noah hiding any discomfort? Was there any internal injuries which he was playing off or pretending he was okay when he wasn't? What was the atmosphere like in general? Was there any additional details which may have been missed? Because look at the photos. The photos of the limited material that we have worked with, and with credit to people in the community on Facebook, they have seen and picked up on stuff other people haven't. I've picked up on some stuff which other people haven't. So collectively, we've made good use of what is present, but it's the scraps. Just imagine what we could find or interpret from the rest, the rich data, if it does exist, if it ever was released. But then there's that what if, the material that was never recorded. Imagine what we could have made from that. And I don't mean making it up or exaggerating, but using it effectively, what could have come from it. It's a shame, isn't it? Speaking of this area as well, if you've got the decking, which I don't know if that patchy area is where it once was the pool, it kind of is in line roughly. Yeah, it kind of is. It's like the dirt, the ground layer. Maybe the decking, the pool removed, so it left a bare patch possibly, because of the foundations that were once there. It got rid of the grass, and then when it all got taken away, it left a bare spot. I think that's in line possibly, and that's where the trampoline was, that weird circle. I don't know if you can see it, but based on how I saw it on Bing Maps, and when you go back in time, that spiral, that little circle area there, centre of the screen, that is where that's where the trampoline was, and roughly that's where the pool was, and that's where the decking was, to my memory. So it looks like you can see the remnants of what was once there. But at the time of the party, it was present, but was it in use? This is what's so strange, right? You've got a swimming pool, and for that age range and people, it would seem like the perfect opportunity to make use of it. A pool, a party, pool party. You'd think they'd be making use of that. Considering the weather, the humidity at the time, jumping in a pool to cool off, to stay cool, playing in the pool, resting in the pool, splashing water, jumping in it, doing wild things, who knows? Why did no one make use of it? And I say, why didn't anyone make use of it? Just based on our knowledge or lack of presence when it comes to the evidence. Based on interpretation and assumptions. It might not be good, that, but what else can you do? A trampoline, was anyone using it, bouncing up and down? That shadow where the light is nearby, no guarantee, but it could be near there where I've got the marker. There was a basketball net, hoop. Was anyone making use of that? For either gender, either person, it could be of interest. Just when you've got these facilities present, you'd think you'd make use of them. It's like if a person was at their house, for example, or at someone's house, or at a building which had an inbuilt home gym, or just there was a room where there was gym equipment, would you expect someone to use it whilst it's present, or would you expect them to just ignore it and not bother with it, but then maybe consider going to a gym elsewhere? You think if it's present, you'd make use of it, you'd make the most of it. If it's free and you don't have to pay for it and it's something you're interested in, then you would use it if it's available. If you've got a swimming pool round the back of the house, that just seems like a no-brainer that you would use it. Unless it's like the cameras, it wasn't working, the water wasn't working, the pool was dirty, no one could be bothered to maintain or keep it clean. But you would think party goers or the girls that were living there at the time, they may not prioritise security cameras because they don't feel the need to, or it's not of their importance or agenda. You'd think they would prioritise a swimming pool, something that they would probably enjoy more, or others, in preparation for the party, or just in general on a day-to-day or weekly basis. You would think if you've got a swimming pool, you wouldn't just let it go. You wouldn't abandon it. You would make full use of it. It was there in the first place for a reason, and maybe it's what they wanted. Who knows the backstory there? But you think it would be used. And if it was used, then you would associate it with maybe footage, photos, party, not just hanging out inside of the house, not just hanging out on the front patio area, but round the back patio, round the pasture, beside the side-by-side. You think there'd be more activity going on in areas where there's more facilities of interest if it is in use. The whole mention of Paul Poucher coming down to the house September 4th in the evening, everyone had left by then, and things were wrapped up. No one home. Paul could smell bleach. Was that because of the house? Or could it be because bleach was used outside or round the back for the pool? If bleach was used on the pool, does that imply that the pool was used? Because if it was, why is there no footage? And if there is footage, why is it not public? If it's not public, is it reserved for the case? But what role does it play within the case? Does that mean that Noah Presgrave was in the pool? If Noah Presgrave was in the pool, if we had material, hard evidence and footage to see that pool party, you could link it like with the situation with the grass in the shoelace. You could say the writing on Noah's body, the reason why it faded quickly or whilst there was a difference between the days is because Noah spent some time in that pool. It would make sense, wouldn't it? And this is where it's a bit weird, unless it explains why if it wasn't in use. From what Brooke Bounds Carter had said, over that way, Red River. Depending which route was taken, I asked BBC in the chat once and they said they weren't too sure. But on site of the property, the party house, going west down to the dirt road and near the property trailer here, going onto the field, following the track marks, leads you down to the woodland area. You see those track marks? And if you follow it all the way, you will get to Red River. In and out. Red River down here, as you can see. See the water, the sand, and it was described that over the weekend, on multiple days, or at least more than one day, Noah Presgrave and others went down to Red River and were playing in the water. Would you expect them to record it? Well, the first question is, did any of the partygoers bring their phones with them when going down to Red River? Because by the time they got into the water playing, likely if they had their phones, they would have left it on the beach, on the sandy area, or in the vehicle, depending on how they came down, right? Leave valuables in the car or in a wallet, wherever, in a bag, then jump into the water with whatever clothes on or swimming gear and have fun. But someone could have sat at the shoreline, someone could have sat at the beach or near the sand to take a scenic photo of the area, just to take it in, or even record a happy, funny memory. If people can record a clip or so of Noah in the shower and his best buddy coming on in, laughing and joking before or after when that was recorded, if so small scale can be done like that, recording Noah in a shower at the house, then why not something more extravagant, as in a Red River? More vast, more open, more big, more fun, more chaotic. A happy moment or negative, who knows? Why wasn't this captured? It may not link directly to Noah's death, but it's a part of the timeline, and it's a location which you could associate with why the writing on Noah's body faded quicker. The more times Noah has a wash, the faster it speeds up in eroding from the body and the skin. The different contents and the type of liquid Noah is exposed to could speed it up as a catalyst. If the water is an agent that serves as a catalyst because of the salt water content and the mixture of other bacterials and stuff in the water of Red River could speed up the processing certain writing and Sharpie marking being eroded from Noah's body, whether that be the back area, the bottom area, or even the tummy, which we saw the footage of Noah and Jack in the bathroom with no time stamp given or date, but Noah appeared to be wearing longer black shorts. Jack was wearing jeans. Jack was wearing shorts Saturday. Sunday onwards, Jack was wearing jeans. So it's Sunday onwards, then that photo was taken in the bathroom and Noah had writing on his tummy area, but it was very faded and smudged. So it would make me think that occurred. That photo was taken after Noah had a wash. Did that wash occur at the house? Did that wash occur earlier on in the day of Sunday when he went back home to have a shower? Did that wash occur naturally when in the Red River at some point on Sunday? And then when getting back to the house, going into the bathroom either to get a towel to dry off or change clothes, who knows, and Jack and Noah were together, they took a photo together. Is it possible that if that links to the Red River a bit earlier on, when Noah was at the Red River, Jack was with him too, and who else was? If we had that video recording, a snap, a photo, a selfie, we could work with it and apply the theories, the knowledge, the context with hard evidence and suggest it more, reinforce it possibly. You see the importance of each location, the message that it can have and what can be attached to it. Red River is a place of interest, visually interesting, adds a little bit of mystery as well, and the possibilities of the atmosphere here, much further away from the party house, but no matter how far you are away from the party house or the property, the party doesn't die, the party follows, because it's the people that make a party and the friends and the close people that, cement it together. So no matter where they are in the town, in the state, in the country, in the world, if they're together, the party does exist and it never fades out the light. So Red River would be a place of interest for the people that were present, and the mention of Noah Presgrave coming down here on multiple occasions over the weekend, more than once. Was the same route taken? Was anything ever recorded? You'd think it could be, because it's an opportunity, it's a place of interest to do so. And with the activities and the fun factor, any funny moments of splashing in the water, making memories, small scale, big scale, you'd expect that, but we've not seen it. And then the Red River, going out of your way to go down to there more than once and neglecting a swimming pool, which is probably a bit more cleaner and just more practical. The only reason why I would think going to the Red River makes sense is because it's the closest place to plain water compared to the pool, as the pool was out of action and not working and not maintained, similar to the cameras, and partygoers or the host couldn't be bothered in filling up the pool. Now, there was a water box or water meter around the side of the house underneath the overhanging roof round about there, which we once thought was a hazmat suit, but it was a water box or a water meter. Is that water box connected or has any appliance to the swimming pool at the time round the back? Now, didn't people say, or some from the dark side say, that there was no hose pipe or no pressure washer? It didn't exist, so nothing could have been washed down or washed off. If that's ever the case, then does that have any appliance to a swimming pool being out of reach in filling up? But then again, to have a swimming pool built, you'd expect to have a water source and a supply and a means of being able to fill it up in the first place, right? There's no point having a swimming pool if you know you can't fill it up and there's nothing nearby as in resources to maintain it. It would seem pointless. Depends what came first, what was neglected first, what was removed after, right? So, small area here, yet tells a big story of the possibilities and could have tied in and explained more in regard to the autopsy report and some of the added details with Noah Presgrave and some other people. Now, we said about the barn, the shed area, whilst not really heard any events, really no events, no claims or rumours associated with this place. All that's come about from my knowledge was the theories which I created, as in when Noah walked away from the house, was he taken aside? Was he ambushed? Was he dragged to the barn shed area, round the back and finished off? Was he taken inside of the barn and then, I don't know, questioned? Tortured? Sounds a bit of a stretch, but just as a theory. It was definitely in use, just for the simple fact that some footage showed the door closed and other footage showed it open. The only reason why you would open the door, the gate to a barn or shed, if you were planning on going inside to retrieve something, to do something in there, or to add something inside, like parking a vehicle up. Was the barn shed used for Jack's trailer? For Jack's side-by-sides by any chance? Because the room, nearby, it would have been too cluttered. Look at it this way. With the footage of what we saw of when at 1:05 in the morning, before the side-by-side rollover, much earlier, when Brylan slapped Noah and Caden recorded it, off to the left-hand side, beyond, facing somewhat southeast, you saw a glimpse of Jack Newton's Ford Ranger, I believe, the pickup, but no trailer was seen nearby or behind the vehicle. So it makes me think that at whatever point Jack decided to come on down to the house, park his vehicle up, before he parked his vehicle up outside the house, did he turn around, did he reverse the trailer into this shed area, hence why the gate door was open, park the trailer in the shed with the side-by-sides on top or nearby, and then come back out and then park up here, like where that white car is, but facing the house. Because the trailer's got to exist somewhere. We didn't see it on footage, we didn't see it from the limited angles, so maybe it was stored in the shed and barn. Is it a big deal? Well, then it would add on and provide a perspective or understanding of that's where Noah may have gone to retrieve the vehicle, to then drive it out, and then what? Take a left turn there, come round the side, and then roll over immediately? Or did he come out facing this way east? Did he go down the dirt road on the side-by-side, up and down? Did he come round the front of the house, round the side, loop the tree? Well, you can't. I don't think you could really loop the tree. Come round here, and then roll over. In what order did it happen? You know, the supposed recorded footage or the photos and the angles, if it ever did exist, if anyone did consider doing it for whatever reason, hanging out inside of the barn shed, around the side, around the back, exploring, messing about, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be all events documented or recorded, but just one singular event so we could have seen it up close, what the barn and shed looked like, the contents inside, what was really in there of interest to get someone to open the doors to go inside and do whatever. Did Noah ever go inside? Noah would have likely have gone inside if the side-by-side was parked in there. So it could have foreshadowed that, as in the location where Noah was, where he had to go to retrieve something he wanted, and then from there, the route he took to drive about. So you can base off like a framework of certain material, certain footage, which could have led from one thing to another. But if you don't have the core basics and you don't have the material to begin with, you're lost without it. So, you know, Party House is a building. The shed is another building of interest, could have been used as part of the party, an extension of the party, congregation point, could have been used for anything. But was it recorded publicly? No. It's a disappointment. It's a shame. Tree here. Actually, yes, I've called it a blind spot. Psychic spirit boxes have referenced the tree and Noah. Could it ever have been used for whatever? Maybe as a place of reflection, a moment of peace, leaning up against the tree, observing the sky about, under the tree, under the cover of dark, peace and quiet, whether Noah used that area when walking away from the house on the Monday, temporarily, or if it be when Noah had walked away the night before, based on what Sarah Long stated, who wasn't even at the party herself, but claimed to have known about that, right? So, you got Noah, or anyone, taking some time out, or even, if it's got any reference to Justin, referenced to Carter and Avery arguing on the porchway, if someone was outside recording it, where they stood hiding behind the tree, capturing it, whilst remaining out of sight. Who knows? It just would have provided a different perspective. The footage, not just the time of the footage closer to Noah's death, which would be important, but footage closer geographically to the location where Noah was last seen at, where he was found at, and where he was when he was walking away. At the time, or earlier, or even later, not so much the timing, but just the location, to get an idea visually. I know we can go on Street View now, but it's just not the same, is it? I mean at the time of the party. Being able to see a photo or a clip down the dirt road overlooking the party, getting an idea of what the lighting looked like, what it could have looked like for Noah Presgrove, the sound, the noise of it, does it travel or not? Is it muffled? Is it really loud? If it was that loud, then it could demonstrate that any noise that happened outside, people back there wouldn't hear it. So if anything happened to Noah Presgrove, people may have not heard any sounds or any disturbance. Things like that. This area serves a lot of possibilities which may have not been fulfilled. And whilst Red River we've looked at, the other house property with a number on as well, Don't know if that's a trailer RV there or container unit. And then a house, a building of some sort here, with 2 vehicles actually parked outside, which seems kind of interesting. I don't know if they're abandoned vehicles or real vehicles in use, whether anyone was living here at the time. It might have been explained at one point, whether that be what Stevie Howard, the mother, owned or was living at one point. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there is activity here, and this imagery is from 2024 onwards, so that serves as some purpose of interest. But Stevie Howard in 2024 wasn't living here, she was in Texas, I think. So who would be paying a visit here? Whose vehicles are these individuals? Do they belong to anyone? And more so, at the time of the party in 2023, was this house used as an extension of the party? Depending on how many people were at the party house, the main one, if it was filled or busy, did anyone go on walkabouts around the property? Head on down to the next house? You know, or we've got a party going on here, down the road, down the street, there's a second party going on. That can exist in life. It can happen in America, maybe more college towns or close neighbourhoods, one party to another, an extension. Did that happen here? Was it an overflow? It's another building, an opportunity. Did anyone go inside? And look at it this way. If there was any dodgy behaviour, if there was any flirting and it was too busy, as in the main party house, did anyone pull each other aside and say, I know a quiet spot where we can go. There's a house down here and it should be empty. Was that ever considered? Did that ever happen? Not that I'm saying that should it have been recorded. No. But other actions, other perspectives, footage or clips to show whether partying did take place down here or not at all. Because ultimately, don't know. Not seen footage. Not too much distance between the two. But down here, it's a bit quieter. It's away from it all. Did anything happen here? Any events? Any rumours? Any claims? You leave a comment in the live chat or the comment section below. This location here, not to be used in negative ways, but just simply put, if you have any stories, any knowledge of this place at the time of when Noah attended the party, linking directly to Noah, whether he came down here or not, you know? I mean, coming down this way and going onto the field is the way to the Red River, as we saw. So whether it was used down here, there's a turnaround point as well, and it cuts off into the field. So it has been used over time, worn, but was it heavily used, though, at the party that time, Labour Day 2023, Avery's birthday? So yeah, not as much to work with here, but it's just another spot. And speaking of that, the next one being here, another house, right? Was this ever used? Whether it was abandoned or not, or if anyone was living at it at the time. Here, there we go. Did any partygoers decide to come here and think, right, party house is busy, let's come on down this way? For Noah Presgrove then, Noah couldn't have captured anything, even when walking away at 3:30, because he simply didn't have his phone with him, supposedly. And nothing was found on Noah's phone either, no sign of a factory reset, based on at least how it's been publicly talked about and what Noah's family has said, or more so what they haven't said or considered. So if Noah left his phone behind, he couldn't have captured or recorded anything. But did Noah record or capture anything at all on his brand new phone when he came down to the party in the first place on Saturday? Brand new phone, fancy, make the most of it, excited to use, test the camera out. You'd think that would be used to some extent, right? Not that you've got to be a zombie glued to your phone, but surely you think Noah may have used it to some extent. Because if he had no intent on using it, then why did he bring it in the first place then? Right? So yeah, we are jumping ahead as in Monday onwards, this stretch of the dirt road. Any recordings can't be from Noah because he didn't have his phone with him. But Robin Smith did say whatever happened to Noah, when it did, there is evidence to say he wasn't alone. What does that evidence mean? Phone pings, geofence, video clips, footage from other people's points of views? Who knows? Would there be a particular reason for this stretch of the dirt road to be recorded by anyone, or a selfie or a snap to be taken? Meaningless, random reasons, more likely, but I can't think of any associated events beside Noah walking off down this way east. The only other mention could be the blue sports car that was leaving as claimed by a stranger witness passing on by and saw it pull out shortly after passing by it, and it was speeding off. We'll get to that in just a second. The person in the blue sports car driving and anticipating to pull out probably wouldn't be recording anything along this stretch. But if anyone else has stories or thoughts or theories or claims what they've heard of this stretch highlighted in the red, feel free to share it. If there are areas which aren't included in this video, as in places that should have been acknowledged as unrecorded areas of interest, unrecorded as in not documented during the party, leave a list down below and I can always do a part 2 follow-up if need be. 3:30, Noah heading east, facing that way. There's a stretch, no lights either, would have been limited for vision as well. Maybe one of the reasons what may have put people off from not recording certain moments because it may have been too dark to do so it was pointless. But the house itself and the property surrounding house had enough lighting, front and probably the back too. We've covered the culvert as well. The only other mention would be over this way, the town of Terrell. At some point, I think Sunday, Carter Combs' designated driver took Mikey Lair to town because Mikey wanted to see a girl or if it was a girlfriend. Okay, Mikey Lair had PTSD at the time, but it didn't stop him from either having a good time or it didn't stop him from integrating himself with others, whether that be a potential relationship, a friendship, or whatever else in between. Because I said PTSD can affect people in many different ways. PTSD can hold people back from doing certain stuff. But for Mikey, in this moment, he was okay. But later, upon the death and seeing Noah firsthand on the highway, it may have triggered Mikey's PTSD from the past, making him upset, making him spiral, and then from what Kane said, leading to being put in a hospital for some time and then later released. But before Noah's death, things were okay. Mikey in Terrell. Then picked up by Carter and then taken back to the house. The timing of it all, who knows? We don't have any footage of Mikey Lair's point of view from his snap, his videos, his photos. Not seen any of that. You had a little bit by Brylan Sweat from the one-on-one Mike Tyson reference and Mikey in the background. As said, Caden Pressey, we've seen having clips here and there of stuff. Logan Jernigan in just recently with what I've pieced together, the never seen before material. Look back at my video a few days ago, it explains it all there. So there's some familiar people. I mean, Jack Newton, we've not really seen it from his point of view, as in photos, videos taken. We've seen material, but it may only be from certain people, not everyone. And I think a majority of people that would have been at the party probably would have had a phone on them in some way, and it probably would have had a camera too. It would have been interesting to see Terrell at the time, the timing itself, Mikey's point of view, the atmosphere in the car, the journey on the way back and forth, just to get a better character understanding of Mikey. And even just the point of evidence to reinforce that that event did happen and Carter did take Mikey here and there and Mikey was on the move. And to work out the time of when it happened, was it before or after when Caden went to sleep at 2 a.m. on the Monday? I mean, if it's a Sunday, well, then it's separate. But just get an idea of where people are at different points, different times, different locations, different points of views, the atmosphere, not just for Noah, but other partygoers, as in Mikey. Any conversations in the car along the journey, any frustrations Mikey had with Noah earlier or later about that wrestling match when talking with Carter in the car. Just working out the fine little details. Terrell, decent-sized town, as you can see, not far from the party house. Beside Carter, taking Mikey to the town, supposedly to see a girl, and then picking him up afterwards, back to the house. Was it used in any other ways? Did anyone else from the party come down to Terrell at any point in time? Beside that, the next one being the casino. This is actually post-death of Noah Presgrove, when Kathy Bingham, I think, in a Partners in True Crime interview, had made a reference to interviewing a worker cleaner from this casino that claimed to see ex-partygoers that were at the party which Noah attended back in 2023, and they were playing with a hat in the restroom, bathroom, and it looked very similar to Noah Presgrove's hat. What would they be doing with Noah's hat at that point? Was it a memento? Does it reinforce, as in bits of material being handed out at the time of Noah's death onwards, like the shirt, the hat, a shoe? If one thing was the case here and it could all be reinforced and backed up, which we didn't get to see, we didn't get to see the footage, there wasn't any footage, there wasn't any CCTV footage because it was in the bathroom, and privacy reasons you wouldn't get cameras in the bathrooms such as with the casino, right? So it was a worker, it was a witness account. So as for hard recorded footage and evidence, we don't have it, we'll never get it. So that's unfortunate. If we did have it, it could have showed the party goers, we may have been able to identify them and work out anything from that, any suspicions or innocence. And then the playing of the hat, even if the footage can't be found or it doesn't exist, if the hat was retrieved or recovered, which is unknown of, but if actual action was taken and it was tested for DNA, and if it belonged to Noah Presgrave or there was a hair strand of Noah or something in that hat, then you could say, why do those ex-partygoers have Noah's hat when Noah's family claims that that hat is missing? Either maybe foul play in some way, serving it as a memento from the death of Noah in a darker way, or a simple breakdown in communication, and it would reinforce the idea of if a hat was passed out and given to friends and not prioritised to Noah's family, so could other items of Noah, hence why to the family of Noah it's deemed missing, but to the other people that have those items of Noah, it was given as a gift. But the people that were gifted those items of Noah should have reached out to Noah's family to at least say, we have the item that you want, or we have the item that you say is missing. It would clear up loose ends. But we don't have any of that. It could have been done, but it wasn't. And furthermore, what Kathy Bingham said and who she interviewed, how true is it at the end of the day? I mean, when I did the video at the time, this worker actually commented on my channel and they had quite an attitude. I asked them some questions. They never replied nor followed it up. They were too focused more about, my God, Walligraph, it's not about putting a hat in a bin, it was on top of a bin. Sorry, I'm not a bin expert. Maybe you are whilst being a cleaner. Great. But you didn't answer any more questions, so it didn't help. But an area of interest. Only other purpose area interest this is on the day of Noah's death, September 4th at 5... What time would it be? 5:20 or so? 5:15, 5:20, when you had an anonymous member on Facebook that said that their brother and their friend were leaving this casino. This anonymous member wasn't present at the time. They were commenting on the people that they know. Their brother and a friend were leaving this casino on the day of Noah's death, 20 minutes apart, one left after the other. That 20-minute time difference, the first person did not see a blue sports car but saw a naked individual walking in the ditch. For example, here. No coordinates given, but walking north naked. Who else would that be? It would have to be only Noah Presgrave. Coincidence with when Noah walked away, but that was 3:30. This guy who was leaving and coming down, heading north down the highway, saw a naked person at 5 in the morning onwards. Big time difference from when Noah walked away from the house at 3:30 and then being seen walking down the ditch at 5 in the morning onwards. What was Noah doing all that time in between? Alive. Weird, isn't it? Other guy came on down, passed by the pull out of the dirt road and saw a blue sports car wanting to pull out. Didn't let him out, carried on driving. Blue sports car went up behind, overtook him, carried on driving all the way down here and stopped at or near to where Noah's body was to be found shortly afterwards. The blue sports car stopped on the road and then decided to speed off. Why did it stop? We don't know. And that blue sports car could have been estimated as in the time of when it happened, as in 5:30 to 5:40, not far off from when Tyler Hardy and Tyler Hoodman came on down the other way, coming toward Terrell South and coming across Noah's body. So within a 10-15 minute time difference between the blue sports car and Tyler Hardy, Tyler Hoodman, you'd think would Noah have been already dead in that spot? And if so, did that blue sports car stop because they saw Noah's body? Now, that's just a reference to what we've been told since, whether it's the absolute truth or not. No recorded footage of it, probably wouldn't expect it either. Blue sports car, who would that have belonged to at the party house? Did we see a blue sports car at the party house from the different points of views of the footage? No. But guess what? If people recorded more or uploaded more public, whichever way, we may have had opportunity of seeing more vehicles at the house and the possibilities of a blue sports car to reinforce all this or to debunk it completely, right? But the area here, no Presgrave Way was found. Was any of it recorded? Well, if there's any foul play, we've not seen it publicly recorded or uploaded. You wouldn't expect it though, would you? In terms of Short's removal, in terms of Noah and all that, on the public surface level, it doesn't exist because we've not seen it. But in the background, supposedly as evidence, it does exist. Whether you believe in what Caden Pressey says, what he was shown by Kathy Bingham, in which Kathy Bingham had said she never had a video of it, but Caden did see a video from her and went into specific detail. Would Caden make that up using such specific details as like a story time? Unusual, isn't it? For the mention of Shorts being removed, no timestamp given. Donna Bond seeing a video from this area, saying that there was no shoes on Noah or couldn't identify the shoes on Noah. They didn't seem to be present. Now, last night in the chat, I asked a question. I did say in the video, but I asked a question last night in the chat to Donna. Is it possible that what you saw, Donna, as in the footage, and Noah supposedly not wearing shoes, is because it occurred, and what you saw was after police and whoever came on down, bagged the evidence, took the shoes away to be processed. So when you saw the footage, it was post-event of that, right? So it wouldn't be foul play. It would be normal behaviour by police and whoever in collecting evidence, and you saw the after event of that. And I think Donna said 100%. Donna did say that she did feel it was suspicious at the time and then inquired about it and then was told the truth and it wasn't suspicious anymore. So indirectly, Donna, if you can acknowledge it, is there a link there with what we were talking about last night and what I suggested? Because if so, then that's kind of good in a way, clean up some loose ends. Nevertheless, publicly, no footage lacking in this area. Is this the one area you would expect it the most? No, because publicly, case investigation, you think to be a high level of sensitivity, it being discreet and reserved, because this is the end game part. This is really tied to the case, the investigation. You wouldn't expect it to be released or recorded in the first place and set public, unless it's by authorities recorded. But you get the odd stray passerby. What did they do with their footage then? But before that, final two spots, the Crossroad area. 4:15 to 4:20, Avery, Brylan Sweat pinged when searching for Noah. If there was footage, a snap, a clip, I mean, there was of Carter Combs and Logan at 4:30 when they got back from searching for Noah, pulling a sad face, but supposedly it wasn't related to not finding Noah, they were just pouting the lips or so, random. But they decided to take a selfie at a time like that when they couldn't find their friend. Depends how you interpret that. So if they could take a photo at that time, under those circumstances, I'm surprised no snap, no photo, no selfie, no memory dump was taken at 4:15 to 4:20. But this particular situation, you may not need to rely on visual hard evidence if the geofence, the geodata, proves accurately that they were here. But the footage, the material, would have gone a long way if it was recorded at the Sandplank crossing, just as in knowing that they were there, who was present, how long for, what they were doing exactly, and if they were searching or not. And then even looking at the footage, zooming in, even though it's probably pitch black, and knowing just so far down there, that's where Noah's body was to be. That eerie feeling. But this area as well, 7:40 in the morning onwards or a bit earlier, road closed by ODOT, even though Ken said he left at 7 and it was already closed. But 7 wouldn't make sense because Renee Millan said she had got there at 7, either at the highway or the house, and it was still open. So there's a conflict there. I mean, it would have to be pushed back later. If what Renee says is true, Caden leaving or claiming about the road to be closed when he left would have to be close to 7:40 onwards, then taking a back road. Wouldn't expect any selfies or clips there at a somber time on the way back home, but it's just an event associated with this area, a crossroad literally of events and left, right, forwards and back. Over here, Sandplank crossing. As for events, party related, not much mention. As for routes taken to dispose of Noah's body if there's foul play being suggested, which links, despite the fence line, that track mark that you see, follow it all the way down there and back up that way where the white line is, leads onto the party house. So you can take a back road route there if it's not gated or fenced. But that's more of a theory and not actual events or claims of events that happened where you could associate it with recorded footage. I wouldn't expect recorded footage to be here, But if you believe that there are events or there's a level of significance with this spot, with clips or opportunities of that, you can let me know in the comment section. And lastly, for today, focusing on this stretch of the highway, because as important as it is the highway part, hard shoulder where Noah was to be found, and whilst the dirt road leading up to the party house is important, and we've acknowledged the crossroad, the actual stretch of the highway from here to down there at the turning point of the house, and from down there all the way up to where Noah was to be at. Would you expect any recordings? Maybe not. But what about this? What about dash cam footage from passerbys, locals? How many people in the US of Oklahoma, Terrell and nearby here, how many of those people have cameras in the vehicles for security, for insurance, dash cameras, on record, surveillance? What could they have captured at the time, if any? Because there was traffic coming up and down, regardless of what the mini-mart cameras say. There are turn-off points in between. This stretch of the highway, how many people had dash cameras and how many were in use? That could have provided a point of view. I mean, whether it be around this area or further on north, within a mile of where Noah was to be found, at 4:48 in the morning on September 4th, you had that woman witness claiming supposedly on the way from work or on the way to work had encountered a side-by-side that pulled out of nowhere from the hard shoulder area, left or right-hand side. Has that got anything to do with Noah? Who knows? Could it have been recorded? More likely with dash cam footage, not really any other reason why it would be recorded or how it could in the moment. You wouldn't be anticipating it either way from either party. But if we had dash cam footage of the event, naturally, you could get an idea of how far away it was, the location of it, try and make out the vehicle, the colour of it, the license plate, little details like that to work out, has it got any connection to the party house and what they were doing at that time. But unfortunately, it wasn't recorded. It's just what was said from a witness, their point of view. We can't see it ourselves. That's what makes it limited. It's unfortunate. And this stretch here, roughly past the Sandplank crossing, I don't know the true coordinates, but roughly where I think Alicia and Melissa parked up to meet up with Breely's sisters driving, parked all up. Alicia, Melissa collected Georgia, put them in their car, drove off going north. Alicia, Melissa, aware of this party, didn't think to stop the party with the alcohol. I mean, on the basis that if Alicia and Melissa were all for social hosting laws and justice, they could have stepped in themselves with those beliefs. If that's true, they could have stepped in with them at the time of when picking up Georgia, knowing that Georgia was sick because of alcohol and underage, and estimating, well, there's other people there probably underage too, and including Caden Pressey, yet no action taken then. Would it have prevented Noah's death? Probably not. Well, no, actually, hold on. Apologies, a little bit impetuous of me. Naughty me. It was said 3:15, wasn't it? That was the claim. It was around 2 in the morning, was it not, when Breely, Georgia left? It would have taken 5-10 minutes to drive down the highway to this area or so, depending on what speed they were going. It would have taken 40 minutes for Melissa and Alicia to come on down to this point, so they must have left earlier, before Breely, Georgia had even left the property to meet this close to the house. Yet for Melissa and Alicia to cover such distance because they left earlier. I get that. But 3:15? 2 in the morning roughly when they left the party, 3:15 when picked up. What? 1 hour 15 minutes to cover under a mile? What? Nope. Mistake made, or the time zone mixed up, or from the different states somehow, even though you're all in Oklahoma. Right. So what time would we be looking at? Well, let's just use this for example. In fairness, 2:42 is when Alicia made the call to say to Caden, we've got Georgia, we're on the way back. Now, when was that call? The call was done at 2:42, but the location of that call, we don't know. as soon as they left this highway or when they were close on the way home, meaning you could bring it back to before 2:42, from 2 in the morning to 2:42. In between that time, bringing it back earlier is when Georgia, Alicia, Melissa were on the stretch of the highway roughly in this area, and not 3:15. Not going to take that long. It's earlier. An event like that happened, would it have been recorded visually, photos, selfies? Maybe not. But I just wanted to add in because some of you might think there's appliance as in what could have been captured digitally, but also what's been unrecorded, what we never got to see from the point of view of Georgia, Alicia and Melissa and the situation of the party, knowing that there was alcohol, underage drinking, first hand, no action taken. And that being between 2 in the morning to 2:42, if it's earlier, between 2 in the morning to 2:20, no guarantee, but if it was, when Melissa and Alicia picked up Georgia, it means Noah Presgrave would have still been alive. So if they had acted on it, if they believed and they pushed for social hosting, if that's ever true, onwards, they could have done more under that mindset and attitude, and Noah could have been still alive under those circumstances if it was before, well, to be honest, 2:42. Even at 2:42, if that's the latest when they got picked up here, Noah walked away at 3:30. Supposedly. Noah passed away 3:30 onwards. So anything before that, Noah was alive. Any action taken earlier, any reports made, could have protected Noah. It's not a blame game, but it's just being realistic. And if some people have the attitude to speak up post-death and say more should have been done, this should be filed, that should be reported, justice should be served. If they were in a position earlier of power to shut things down and had the knowledge of the party, they could have acted themselves. Deflection. Now, the only other place that I didn't mention, and it's not as significant, but it's actually earlier, Sunday breakfast. I know I'm returning back in time, but Waurika, gas station, one of them in the area, where Caden, Noah and the friends, Sunday morning went to get breakfast before Noah had gone off elsewhere to go back home. But Caden said they went to Waurika, the town, had breakfast, went back to the house, Caden girls dropped off, and then Noah and the guys went back out and hung out with Caleb. Guys hanging out back in the town of Waurika. During the breakfast at the gas station onwards, group of friends, high chances of people with more phones on them, high chances of at least one recording, snapping, taking a photo, a selfie, recording whatever, memories created, yet publicly, none of it exists. We've not seen any of it. And at a time when you've got all friends hanging out together, high chances of phones being used, you'd think at some point, and hanging out with Caleb, what were they doing? We don't know. What was the atmosphere like? We don't know. What did it look like visually? How did Noah appear? We don't know. Because it would be important, this situation with Waurika, breakfast onwards, because if Saturday night going into Sunday morning, you had Noah Presgrave tension with Avery, and Avery said, I will kill you if I find out you've done anything with Logan, and threatening it twice, as in, don't say that word to me again, because if you do, I'll kill you. That's really aggressive, sounds really bad. You got Noah yelling at Jack because Jack flirted with Noah's girlfriend behind his back, supposedly, from Caden's story. George Choden said, that's not true, it's because Jack was seeing more time with the girlfriend Carter and Noah felt left out. Still, arguments, tension, girl trouble, all on Saturday night going into Sunday morning, and Caden was the one that said Saturday night was quite okay and normal at a party from Partners in True Crime. Interesting. So a lot of tension, arguments, fights, supposedly aggressive as well, occurring Saturday night going into Sunday morning. It would have been great to see what it looked like visually if recorded at breakfast. They're all together. Same people that had arguments the night before, what did the atmosphere look like? Was it tense? Was it relaxed? We would have known, we could have interpreted the body language if it was recorded, yet to our knowledge, it wasn't. Wasted opportunity whilst they're all together, leading up to that timeline. Shame, isn't it? So, that is the map analysis for today. All in all, hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting. It'd be appreciated if you hit the thumbs up, the like button, and share the video too about so more people get to see this, more discussions can come about, and just highlighting the importance of all the areas of interest which fell short of being recorded, documented, or at least posted public, so we could have learned more. Of course, people back then weren't to know what was going to happen to Noah next, but considering what they did record compared to what they didn't record, it could leave you scratching your head. That all being said, if you've got additional thoughts, you can let me know below. If you have a list of locations which should have been included, I can do a follow-up video. Just leave it below in the comments section. If you're on mobile, tablet device, consider hitting the hype button down below in the comments just to push the video out there more. My name's Warlight Ref. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Shout out to those that did watch in the background too, much appreciated. And the activity in the chat too. Goodbye and good night for now.